What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Sweet and Savory Barbecue. I'm your host, Jamie Trader. Today, we're going to be cooking competition-style spare ribs on our Outlaw smokers. Let's get started. So what we've got is some St. Louis cut spare ribs. They've already been cut down to St. Louis cut. I find, especially for competition, it's easier to do them that way. What you're looking for is some good marbling, straight bones if you can find it, a good thickness to your rib. So what I'm going to do, first thing I'm going to do is turn them over. I'm just going to knock this last bone off. It's not going to cook the way I want it to, and for competition, it's all about that perfect bite. So we don't cook a lot of stuff if we don't have to. Again, competition-wise, I like to trim my racks down to about 9 to 10 bones. So we'll count them out. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're gonna go with 9 just because of the way I think it looks a little better. We're just gonna knock that end off. If you want to hang on to this stuff, you can. You can cook it up, put it in beans, make a snack for yourself, whatever you want to do. We're just gonna come in here and eyeball this, kind of straighten it out. There's a flap on here. This one doesn't have much of one, so we're going to go ahead and leave that alone. We're going to come back to the top, and you see how this has got just some hanging stuff. We're just going to take that off. It's just going to burn up when we cook it. A little excess fat there, we'll take that off. It's not going to render. You want to get as much junk off as you can without going too far down into the lean stuff. Sometimes it helps. You can kind of bend that rib up and get to it. Sometimes down on this end bone, again, my money ribs are coming from this section right here. We cook 4 racks of these typically at a contest. I'm only cooking 1 today just for demonstration purposes. But if we can get 4 to 5 good bones off of a rack of ribs, that's a good day. I'm good with that. So the next thing we're going to do is pull this membrane off. Now, if you're cooking at home, you can leave the membrane on. If you're just doing a few racks, I recommend really just taking it off. It doesn't take a lot of time. It's a barrier to your seasonings. A lot of the restaurant guys you'll see, they'll leave them on there just for time purposes. I like to take a butter knife and just get underneath that membrane as best you can. Sometimes getting a paper towel kind of helps take it off of there. Sometimes they do have splits in them. So if it's got a split, just work it off and get the rest of that membrane off. It's okay. See that one kind of split. Now that we've got our ribs trimmed up, they're ready to go, we're going to get some flavor down on the inside of that meat. Ribs don't need a whole heck of a lot, but I like to give them, especially for competition, a little bit of a boost. You don't have to do this in the backyard style rib, but if you're looking to, really impress, it's fun to do. This injection is just 1 cup of apple juice and 1 tablespoon of Kosmos Moisture Magic. It's a really good product. And I'm only doing, about 2 cc's in between each bone, 2 to 3. You don't want to pump them too full. Sometimes it can cause them to split. This is going to be plenty. This will probably do 2 racks of ribs if I had to guess. Maybe 3 if you're, kind of pushing it. It's going to help with some moisture. Not much flavor. A little bit from the apple juice. There are some products out there that'll help more with some flavor if you feel like you need it. So we've got our ribs injected. We've got some moisture on them from our injection, so we're not going to need a binder. My first layer that I'm going to go with is the Killer Hogs AP seasoning. It's a great blend. Salt, pepper, garlic. It's a great base layer. It'll give judges, a little flavor that they know. Next, this is our rub that we're working on. Hopefully it'll be out on the market before too long. Got a couple little tweaks we got to do to it. We're kind of testing it out here. So let's do a medium coat of that. On the back side, I try not to go too heavy because I feel like it can bust these ribs back here, which again doesn't hurt the flavor, but it does hurt the appearance, and it can hurt your tenderness scores in a contest if that rib kind of pulls off the bone. So we're gonna let this sit here for about 15 minutes. Let it kind of soak in, and we'll flip it over and we'll do the top. The seasoning on the back side of our ribs has been on here for 15 minutes. It's got a nice sweat on it. We're gonna go ahead and flip them over, and we're gonna repeat the same process. Gonna hit them with some of the Killer Hogs AP. light coat. We're following this up with our barbecue rub that we're working on. If you want a great rub that you can get today, Killer Hogs makes a great one, the BBQ Rub. Just come in here, medium to heavy coat, especially on the top side. And we'll give those about 15 minutes and they'll be ready to go on our Outlaw. To get our Outlaw started, we're starting out with a good bed of royal oak charcoal, and we're going to be adding pecan splits about every 45 minutes as needed, running our temperature at 300 degrees. So our Outlaw is nestled in right at 300 degrees. We're over here on the far side of our pit. We're going to get our ribs on. Just going to lay them right here, tighten them up. How you put them on there is how they're going to cook. So we want to make sure they're good looking for our judges. So it's been 2 hours. Our ribs have been on here. We're going to take a peek at them. They've got some really good color. That rub is set in. It's going to be time to wrap here. To start our wrap, we're going to go with a half a stick. I use unsalted. You can use salted if you want. I don't think it makes that much difference. Going to get our ribs off here. Just set them there. Add about a 1/4 cup of brown sugar. So I just kind of eyeball it. And about 3 lines of honey. Get our ribs flipped over. The bone side's still looking good. This is when you can pick all this kind of stuff off. Again, at home, doesn't make that much difference. But for competition, we want these things to be pretty. And here's where I kind of like to see where my ribs are as far as the cooked on. So we're about 160, still got a little ways to go. We're gonna give them about 45 minutes to an hour, back on the pit at 300 degrees. And we'll come in and start checking them for tenderness. So wrap them, I just fold one side over, bring the other side. Just like that. That way I've got easy access to come back in and check for tenderness. Throw them back on the pit and let them keep riding. So we checked our ribs right at the hour mark. They weren't quite there. They were pretty close. They should be about there now. It's been about an hour and 10 minutes in the wrap. Now I've got my thermopen here. I'm not really looking for a temperature. I'm really feeling for softness. Yeah, they're temping out at 206, 207. That's about normal as far as a temperature reading if you are looking for one. So normally at a contest, I let these rest for about an hour. Today we're not gonna let them go quite that long. A good 15-20 minute rest is really all you need. So we've let our ribs rest here for about 15 minutes. We're gonna go ahead and get some sauce on them and get them glazed up. We're just using straight up Blues Hog Original. If there's a comp team out there telling you they're not using Blues Hog, they're probably telling you a story. Most every comp team is, in some sort of fashion. Just get a nice thin coat on the backside. I don't go too crazy with my glaze. Just get a nice even coat. I like to get the bones, give them a flip. Got a beautiful color still on them. Go ahead and get some sauce on the top side. And the last and final step, just for a little pop, help bring some more color back to it and a little bit of heat. Just going to go with a little Killer Hogs hot rub. Real light dusting. All right, we're going to get these back on the pit for about 10 more minutes. So our ribs are nice and glazed up. Took about 10 minutes back on the pit. A quick recap of how we started. We started with some St. Louis cut ribs. We just trimmed them up, got any excess fat off of them. Took our membrane off. Cut our rack down to about 9 to 10 bones. This one in particular was 9. Got them injected with some Kosmos Moisture Magic and some apple juice. Seasoned them up with the Killer Hogs AP seasoning. Also with our rub, again, you can use a Killer Hogs the BBQ Rub product there. Got them out on our Outlaw smoker. Took them about 2 hours. Wrapped them up, butter, brown sugar, honey. Let them go till they were tender, about 207. Really, you're looking for that really soft feel though. As soon as they hit that tenderness, we got them off. We only rusted these guys about 15-20 minutes. Got them glazed up with our Blues Hog Original sauce. Little dusting of Killer Hogs hot rub. And now we're going to slice into them. They glaze for 10 minutes. And a little trick we use on the comp circuit, I'm not the best at cutting ribs. So what I do is I just lay some sauce down on my cutting board so I can flip my ribs over and see the bones. See exactly where I'm cutting. we can always touch our sauce work back up in a little bit. So start down here on this end. Make sure we're cutting all the way through. Feel really soft, nice and tender. Try to keep our cuts as straight as we can. Again, in KCBS, we'd be cooking 4 of these, so we wouldn't be trying to get 6 bones from one rack. You know, and I'd be happy with these ribs. I would take these to a contest any day of the week. Come back over here, a little more sauce on top. Just where we kind of knock some of it off. Now, as we're building a blind box, I come in here and sauce the inside of these ribs. We pick out the 6 best bones, or 8 or 10 or however many is good enough to turn in, and that's what we'd roll with. Now I'm gonna get in here and try one. I'm gonna get about this one. It's got a good soft feel. Incredibly juicy, clean bite, tender. It's got sweetness. It's got some heat. Again, I'd run these every day of the week at a contest. Let's get in here and test one more just to see if we hit our marks. Bit right through clean. All the rest of the meat stayed on the bone. I'd be happy with those. Thank you for checking out this week's video. We hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Click the bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. Follow us on all our social media outlets, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. Be sure to watch the next video we got picked out for you, and we'll see you next time.